higher education, post-secondary, what now? There's a lot of bird these days. Hey, I'm gonna read you guys something because I had promised myself to put in a last effort, although I'm at my lowest energy I've probably ever been for maybe ever. I still did so much work to do my due diligence as the elusive Homo sapien wanting to be of service in Canadian society or to the scientific world. And so I'll read to you this text here that I mailed and had expenses for. And you can let me know if you think it sounds like the person is incompetent that is actually reading this to you. So May 20th, 2025. Now a lot of this stuff is unorthodox, uncommon, undomesticated like. Okay, so, and it's because it comes from, as I said, the elusive Homo sapiens, somebody who not only created the theory of HSD that explains your devolution, but also kind of largely cured himself of it. And I say largely because, I don't live on a desert island by myself. I'm still among your devolving human condition, so I'm fighting it off all the time. But the thing is, though, is it's easy for me to do. And when you guys kind of hear what it is I'm talking about, is you'll kind of think it makes sense, but then you'll get defensive because you kind of know unconsciously at what levels you may have already succumbed to this. And then the overwhelming semi-awareness of how much work would need to be done to self-actualize into an Homo sapien, it's really... it makes you guys eventually feel as alienated towards me as I do towards you. But that doesn't mean you have the same skill sets I have. For example, that I treat you better than you treat me, right? So May 20th, 2025, UBC Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. Dear Graduate School, and by the way, no response yet. And the check was 100 and something, plus the mail, where I had to work hard, as you saw in a vlog already, to even get the signature. And when I got the signature, it's like it's so hard to know if it's a person that signed this mail. It's just like a shape from somebody signing so fast that it's like you can't even tell who it is anyways. So I don't know what it means to pay for a signature in a nation that is so far gone from accountability. But dear Graduate School, this letter is intended to apply the principles of inclusion towards myself as a mature and unorthodox candidate who has been attempting to find the right fit with any university around the world in the last couple of years. I reside in BC, so I try your university using a strategy that fits my own life uncommon. I am largely detached from the monetary paradigm, living a very frugal life. Most of my past references have either passed away, are now hard to find, and or may no longer relate to myself as an independent social scientist during this past decade. Starting to smell my food here. I'm just going to check. Just give me a second here. As my budget is very, in brackets, limited, I am writing directly to you in hopes, and it's the graduate school department, not in any of the individual faculties for the individual 10 PhDs I put on the list that you'll see below, that you'll hear me read below. In hopes that you will collaborate with the following PhD programs, because you're kind of supposed to, and let them know about my interest in trying to find peers in relation to my own research priorities. My own research priorities, not your own. I'm not getting into debt for you. Like, if you don't get that, I think you need to kind of redefine higher education. Please note that, this is all in capital letters, please note that this is a pre-application package only. Okay, so even if it doesn't meet your application parameters, it's directly to you. You pass it on. You try to find another potential Homo sapien among these 10 programs of PhDs. Because it's easier for you. It'd be like a year for me. It'd be easier if I went in person for like 3-4 visits to find out what you could know if you make the effort within 24 hours. And that any of the chairs of the programs below may then request additional documentation information from me. I include my application fee, which I would hope would be intended for the program which sees my own value and would therefore be willing to fight for winning my candidacy. The following list is somewhat in order of preference. And by the way, so far I've been clear. I'm poor. I'm doing it this way because I'm uncommon and because I'm poor. But I'm worth looking into. Okay, and you just need to kind of forward this on, make some copies, put it in the box of these different chairs. So this one is Doctor of Education, number 1, in Educational Leadership and Policy. And I might even be able to kind of use some of the curriculum that the master's degree I was in at VIU couldn't understand, including their education department. Didn't want to even try. PhD in, number 2, PhD in School and Applied Child Psychology. Number 3, PhD in Interdisciplinary Studies. PhD in Human Development, Learning and Culture. PhD in Curriculum Studies. Number 6, PhD in Sociology. Number 7, PhD Anthropology. PhD in Counseling Psychology. PhD in Psychology. Number 10, PhD in Educational Studies. Note that my own specialties should be known as being within the fields of psychology, innovation in mental health treatments, critical thinking, counseling skills, life skills, group facilitation, interpersonal skills, systems thinking, human rights and its enforcements, cultural repair, the teaching of learning, land mammal intelligence assessments, as well as personal development, self-actualization, and what it means to undergo an Homo sapien maturation process. Okay, so right there, like just reading that, and that's the end of the first page, I would lose most of who these 10 programs would say is their most innovative thinkers, or outside the box, or critical thinking, or avant-garde, or whatever you want to. Just this paragraph. Rewind, read it again. My expertise as a polymath has largely been acquired as an uncompromised independent social scientist over the last decade. However, confirmations of these specialties could be offered to you within the presentation of video recordings and other measurable data, some of which have been undertaken when traveling in Asia and Africa. My GPA from the last university that I attended many years ago was 3.67, which is like an A-. As a person who has worked as a tutor, please be aware that returning to university will not academically be a challenge for me. With this pre-application package, so that means don't worry about my age, I will only include the following documentation. Not everything that is supposed to be in a official application to one of these 10, where I would have had to pay this fee 10 times just to find the right person that likely was non-existent at UBC. But I did say what my GPA is, and that could be proven, and that's one of the things to include. But I'm including only this: resume, abstract for an article that I wrote, which nobody has ever asked to read, a letter that I wrote to the BC Ministry of Education some years ago, because then, from what I've seen from some of the other programs, there are people there who want change in education, and they believe that it'll happen with, the research they do, but it won't. And I'm not saying that it's bad, the research they do. I'm just saying that's not how change happens, especially in politics. It's not based on your research. A letter that I wrote to the BC Ministry, okay? And then number 4, a letter written to New Zealanders so as to introduce myself. Okay, and that's a letter I'm very proud of, where I define my different specialties and some ideas of research programs that have a link to all of these specialties. Okay, and it's included here. It's 13 pages, I think, in total. The focus of my research within any of the faculty programs must include bringing my own theory on HSD to the academic world. My theory discusses, again, it says, I'm not here to be your butler in your research. My theory, and of course, my research is all encompassing. Like that theory is a grand unification theory in the social sciences. So, of course, it's interconnected to everything. My theory discusses how our species has been devolving itself due to a variety of human domestication syndromes over a long period of time, but currently accelerating, thus reducing our abilities to tap into the higher functions of our brains. Should any faculty be triggered by such a statement, and that's underlined what I'm going to read, okay, that I start reading, and or admit to being comfortable with their own human chauvinism. Okay, so I think I wrote it properly, but let me start from the beginning. Should any faculty be triggered by such a statement and or admit to being comfortable with their own human chauvinism, that means they don't want to budge from it, then they should not consider themselves as my potential peers. This sounds extremely arrogant, but this is meant to save me and you time. Like I'm serious. Like you guys, if you are aware of me in any way, and I don't know anybody who really is you'd know I walk the talk, okay? I'm not somebody just selling an image that would crumble with one question in a house of cards, right? It's really, I'm a solid person who can back up his claims and who continues to live by what I claim. I am flexible with entry into programs as they relate to start dates, methods of delivery, weekly time commitments, and duration of program. I am also open to negotiating teaching others within the context of undergraduate courses, coaching badminton, tutoring other students for their own increased success, as well as supporting ours or other programs' delivery of services. For example, driving a passenger van. I sincerely hope that no HSD will come into play when cashing in the certified check included. So again, I'm just saying you're predictable. Now, I'm not saying they'll cash it and screw me over. It's also possible they'll cash it, but then reissue their own check and mail it back to me and say that's not the way you do it. Which again proves their HSD, proves they don't have reading and writing comprehension, proves that my human right or my life or my uniqueness is of no concern to them, who claim to be avant-garde researchers, scientifically minded critical thinkers, right? I mean, it's easy to just write things in a way that say, kill me by surprising me that your response will prove you're an Homo sapien too, because I will die happy knowing there's another one out there. So I'll read that last sentence of that paragraph again. I sincerely hope that no HSD will come into play when cashing in the certified check included, or in the content of your responses as well. To conclude, and based on numerous past experiences, I could tell you that any response to such a letter as this one, which reflects a "we received your letter and our generic reply to you is to copy and paste information about how to find a potential supervisor and or apply to any PhD programs at UBC." So if they're telling me something I already know, then again, what can I learn from them? I already know that their website says to do this. What they don't get is reading and writing comprehension and the acknowledgement of the existence of another such as myself among them. So again, what could I learn from people that just say, no, we need you to be a sheep? And maybe later we'll discuss that maybe it's not good to be a sheep. But maybe not, right? Indeed, so if that's their generic response, please do it the way we'd like it, because otherwise this is a little bit weird for us to kind of deviate from our, automaton patterns of behavior. then they would say that. Then I'm saying that would only reflect negatively upon you if you answer in this way. So maybe the person that read this at the graduate department, maybe they said, "Oh crap, I don't want to answer in that way." The last paragraph says not to, so I'm going to pass it on to my boss, who may or may not ever pass it on to any of the other faculties, because it is possible that if they do what I ask, which is, it's not beyond their abilities to make photocopies and pass it on, then, and then they'll say with a note, we have the certified check if any of you 10 kind of programs are interested. Because especially during any potential summer vacation, some people will actually read things as if to demonstrate they've passed high school, because a lot of the responses I get, even from people that are chairs of programs, if I write a letter like this that is outside of the norm but pretty clear, but also kind of has particular requests or questions, and the responses are partial or incongruent or non-existent, and then they portray the image that they've provided you a great response and they have a PhD, then I'm like, again, who's going to be the student? Who's going to be the teacher, right? Indeed, please value my own human rights and uniquenesses, which emerged at a great cost due to my being born as a social creature, such as yourselves, and the time, resources that I have spent in offering myself for a potential collaboration with UBC, as the person that I truly am, a non-domesticate living outside of the norm. Sincerely yours, Martin Parizeau, and then my address, and then my resume, which is kind of 2 pages, no, 1 page. And then my abstract to the article that is about 8,500 words. That was how I finished the masters at VIU that they couldn't finish with me because they weren't qualified as supervisors, but I finished it myself, and that's the final product document. So that's pretty good, right? That a guy finishes his own degree by creating it into something better, which has been documented for years on my YouTube channel, the Master of Ecocentric Worldview, Master of Science in that. That's pretty impressive that I still did the work after I fired them, right? But to do it properly. And then the letter I wrote on June 16th, 2017 to the BC Ministry of Education in regards to what my experiences were like, what I learned, and how I'd like to help. And then Dear New Zealand, Maori, and its various United Peoples, that was January 6, 2021. I've posted this in other ways. If anybody writes a comment that they want a copy of it, I'll provide it. And then it ends with that nice picture, that Maori letter of me in Gulu. And that's it with that. That's one of the ways that I'm tying loose ends. I'm creating my closure. I'm finishing culture repair files, but also doing it in a way that delivers more data to you that my theory on HSD is real, and it impacts even people that do research into such things that they will never do.